Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Wrestling Discussions. On today's episode, well, we got quite a bit to talk about, and I'm not going to waste any time as I'm honestly, to be quite honest with you, I'm a bit on a time crunch for today's episode. So if it's a little on the shorter side, I do apologize for that. Unless you like shorter videos, I don't know. Feel free to comment that down below if that's what you like or what you don't like. I honestly don't know. But nonetheless, let's get right into it, starting with last night's AEW Dynamite. Now, I obviously made a lot of predictions on yesterday's episode, and it's time to finally see what predictions came right and what predictions didn't. So, starting with the AEW International Championship match, we saw Orange Cassidy take on Bandito, and well, it looks like Orange Cassidy got the match. Orange Cassidy won, and Orange Cassidy retained his international championship against Bandito. Now, I did say in my predictions that I wanted Bandito to win, that I think Bandito should win. I still agree with that. I still think Bandito deserves more than what he's being given on AEW. I'd like to see him go to maybe Impact Wrestling, to maybe even the NWA or MLW at this point. I just feel like there's more that he can be given than what he is currently being given. And I think Tony Khan needs to realize that Bandito could go to a number of different places right now. And he needs to be aware of that. I mean, Tony Khan already lost Dragon Lee to the WWE. He has to be careful to not lose any other Ring of Honor guys. Because he's not treating the Ring of Honor guys the way he should. We also saw Renee interviewing Adam Cole backstage, obviously discussing about how he's calling out Chris Jericho, and how his anger towards the situation that happened last week, of the attack that the Outcasts delivered to Britt Baker while Adam Cole was chained up. Now we also saw Renee interview Darby Allin and Jungle Boy. And, well, Darby kind of saying, how we said things that took things a bit too far, and if you care about any of this stuff, have my back tonight. And Jungle Boy kind of agreeing, and but a little back and forth here. You can feel the tension between all four pillars, between MJF, between Sammy Guevara, between Darby Allin, between Jungle Boy. I think all four are in great positions in their career, and I'm really loving this idea of the four pillars and the AEW World Championship. My only issue with it is I wish it was presented more. I wish it was treated like the main event that it should be treated as, because right now I feel like we are getting more so the Jon Moxley, and we are getting the Hangman Adam Page, and we are getting this Blackpool Combat Club and Dark Order, and now it's the Elite. Like, we're getting all this stuff going on as like our main event spot stuff, but we're not getting anything in terms of what's going on with the AEW World Championship. That should be our main event highlights. That should be the main event in general, but it's not. And me personally, I'm not understanding it, nor do I really agree with it. Now, we also saw Jeff Jarrett taking on one half of the AEW World Tag Team Champions, Dax Hardwood. Now, I did say my prediction was Dax Hardwood, and it does look like I was wrong. Jeff Jarrett did get the win. However, this was another prediction I kind of said. I did say that if Jeff Jarrett won, it would be because of the fact that him and Jay Lethal won the AEW World Tag Team Championships. And it does look as though that is what's happening, as after the match, Jeff Jarrett held up Dax Hardwood's title. And it's to signify that whether it be a Double or Nothing, or whether it be in a week or 2 weeks, we're probably going to see Jeff Jarrett and Jay Lethal challenge for the AEW World Tag Team Championships. We also heard the announcement from Tony Khan, which had to do with the Owen Hart tournament. They are bringing that back. The finals will be held in Owen's hometown of Calgary. This is new. Obviously, we will have the opening ceremonies will be taking place at Double or Nothing in Las Vegas. Tournament will be held in Canada, and the finals will take place in Calgary. And so this is new. We didn't have that last year. I am very happy to see that Tony Khan is honoring Owen Hart once again, as he did last year. I think that's one of the few things Tony Khan's doing right in AEW right now, and I'm very, very pleased with the Owen Hart tournament. I was very pleased with the Owen Hart tournament last year. The amount of diversity, the amount of different wrestlers, the amount of different matches we got, like between Kyle O'Reilly and Jeff Hardy, and Jeff Hardy versus Darby Allin, and Adam Cole, and a number of matches that you would not have expected, in my opinion, to have happened. And, Adam Cole versus Dax Hardwood, and Dax Hardwood versus Cash Wheeler, and just all these matches in general had such a great pizzazz to them. Ray Fenix and Dante Martin, all of it, and even the finals, like even the women's matches with Britt Baker and Ruby Soho, and the finals with the men's with Samoa Joe and Adam Cole, all of it, I thought was very articulated. I thought the matches were very well done. I was very pleased with both of them to a T. I thought the entire tournament was done well, and I'm hoping this year is the same. Now, we also saw the TNT champion Wardlow with Arn Anderson by his side, so I can only assume, again, I did say this in yesterday's episode, I don't fully know what's going on with AEW. I haven't caught up yet, so I don't know the full storyline, but I can only assume right now that, from what I'm reading here, that, and yes, I am currently reading what happened last night from my phone, because, again, I'm not caught up. And if you want to judge me for it, go ahead, I really don't care. But the TNT champion Wardlow, with the enforcer, Arn Anderson, so I'm assuming Arn Anderson is on the side of Wardlow right now, which, honestly, I like that idea. I like the idea of Wardlow being this, professional, if you will, the kind of guy to have Arn Anderson as your backup, as your manager, if you will. I like that idea. I like that concept quite a bit. Versus Ariel Levy. Now, come on, let's be honest, we already know that Wardlow won that match easily, and then Arn Anderson cutting a promo, and then Christian Cage kind of getting in the ring, or Christian Cage and Luchasaurus walking down the ring. Now, this is a match that intrigues me, because Luchasaurus has been on the hunt for singles gold for a little while, since him and Jungle Boy have departed and went their separate ways, and I think Luchasaurus versus Wardlow is a match that, in my personal opinion, it's a match that is highly anticipated. It is a match that I personally really, really want to see. I don't want to see it yet, because I feel as though Wardlow just won the TNT title. It needs to make sense. A match of this caliber should be later down the road, where, it would make more sense for Wardlow to lose the title again. Because, obviously, this is going to be like a battle of giants, if you will. And so I would like to see a little more out of Wardlow before we see Wardlow versus Luchasaurus, if that match comes to pass. Now, we also saw Renee Paquette with backstage with Sammy Guevara. MJF interrupting the interview, kind of... Again, him and Sammy seem to have some sort of agreement, and they seem to be working together for right now, and... It looks like they are on the same side for right now anyways. It seems as though they've made a deal in some way, shape, or form. We also saw Kenny Omega backstage get blindsided by Jon Moxley and the Blackpool Combat Club. And, well, again, the Blackpool Combat Clubs here, in my opinion, they've been targeting Kenny Omega more than they've been targeting anyone else in the Elite. They've targeted Kenny Omega after his match with El Hijo del Vikingo. They targeted Kenny Omega after his match with Jeff Cobb. Now they're targeting him backstage when he's all alone. Why don't you... yes, they attacked the Bucks, but Kenny, mind you, Kenny has not laid a hand on the Blackpool Combat Club, nor did the Bucks when this whole thing first started. It was always Hangman in the Blackpool Combat Club. Did Kenny have some role to play? Yes, but it was more so the Bucks. If you actually watch what happened when things went off screen, the Bucks were the ones that were kind of signifying to Hangman, like, hey, watch out. And they were the ones that were seeing... Kenny walked out of the ring. Kenny didn't want anything to do with it. So if if anything, that would signify to anyone watching that, oh, I don't know, Kenny Omega and Hangman Adam Page have nothing to do with the other, and maybe, just maybe, Kenny Omega doesn't want anything to do with the Blackpool Combat Club. Did you ever think about that, John Moxley? I don't know. Nonetheless, we also saw Sammy Guevara take on Darby Allin. Now, my prediction for this was Darby Allin, and it does seem as though it was ended with disqualification, I'm seeing here. Well, this is interesting. This is probably the first time I've seen AEW really end on a disqualification like this. This is an Eddie Guerrero-based maneuver, if you will. Sammy Guevara, and I find it funny that Sammy Guevara is the Spanish god and pulled off this maneuver, pretending that Darby hit him with his skateboard, I guess, and that was enough for the disqualification. I don't know. WWE's been able to pull it off before where, like, they don't have a disqualification, but I guess for this time, AEW didn't want to go that route. They wanted to end it in disqualification. I'm not arguing it. It does make some sense in considering that obviously this is going to be a fatal four-way. It has to be. It has to be all four pillars taking each other on going into Double or Nothing. I'm sorry, but it just has to be. It's what makes the most sense, and it's what's going to be the most entertaining of matches. And I think what's really intriguing is I think people are trying to wonder, how is MJF going to survive this? How's he going to retain this? Because you all know he's going to do it. Everyone knows. The dude, I've said it before on this channel, one of my favorite wrestlers of the current generation, probably is my favorite wrestler of the current generation. So talented, unstoppable in that ring, great talker. He is everything that he says he is. He is a 26-year-old generational talent, and any company, any promotion would be lucky to have him. This guy is not losing the AEW World title anytime soon. He's had, what, 2 title defenses? Ricky Starks, and then Bryan Danielson? Yeah, I don't think so. This could be a fatal 4-way. It could be 6-on-1, 7-on-1. MJF would still somehow survive and somehow retain to still be the AEW World Heavyweight Champion. That's just how it's going to work. I'm sorry. It's just the way it is. Now, we also saw Adam Cole coming out to the ring. It doesn't look as though this was like scheduled in the sense that I don't think fans were expecting this. You know, he's calling out Jericho. He's telling him to get down to the ring. And Jericho's saying, no, you want me down to the ring? Get him, boys. And then you have the Chris Jericho Appreciation Society coming out and attacking them. And then you got Orange Cassidy and Bandito coming to the side of Adam Cole, which is interesting to me because you wouldn't normally expect to see Orange Cassidy or Bandito to be, running down to help them out. So I can only imagine that maybe Orange Cassidy is going to have an international title match against Daniel Garcia at some point, or one of the Jericho Appreciation Society members. And I'm sure Bandito will probably have a match against a member of the group as well. But this is the highlight of that moment. We had a new recruit to AEW, if you will, new signee, the 4th member of the Undisputed Era, the only member of the Undisputed Era that has not been on AEW yet, and that is Roderick Strong. He has made his return. Everyone was wondering where he's at, when he was going to return to NXT, when he was going to return to WWE. Looks like none of that's going to happen. Roderick Strong is officially on AEW. He is officially All Elite, and he has come to the aid of his former brother of NXT, Adam Cole. And I gotta be honest, that's amazing. I am a major Roderick Strong fan, and I loved Adam Cole and Roderick Strong in the Undisputed Era together. I loved the emotion those two had. I loved when the Undisputed Era was breaking up, and I loved how, out of all 4 members, the most emotion I felt was when Roderick and Adam were talking, and Roderick was saying, what's going on? Why are you doing this? And then Adam betrayed Roderick, and it just, something screamed in me for a minute, and I just thought, there's no way. There's no way right now that Roderick Strong... It was just such an emotional moment. And then to see Roderick Strong be on AEW and reunite with Adam Cole once again, it means the world. It's incredible. It's amazing. I love every second of it. Now, we also saw QTV segment interrupted by Powerhouse Hobbs, and well, it looks as though Hobbs is very upset. And it looks as though Powerhouse Hobbs wants to fight for the TNT title again. So again, I don't know where this is going to go. I don't understand why Powerhouse Hobbs is not still TNT champion. I don't understand what the whole deal is with Wardlow and the TNT title. I don't understand why people are so obsessed with giving Wardlow the TNT championship. He doesn't need a championship. They already screwed him with the first title run, and then they screwed him even more with the second title run. If you want to dig him even deeper into the ground, be my guest, but stop dragging down other wrestlers with you, because that's what you did to Samoa Joe. That's what you're doing. That's what you did to Powerhouse Hobbs. And if you're not careful, that's what you're going to do to Luchasaurus and Christian Cage if you don't stop now, Tony Khan. Now, we also saw in our TBS Championship match, Jade Cargill taking on Taya Valkyrie. And, well, it looks as though Jade Cargill is still your TBS Women's Champion. I don't understand it. My prediction was not at all Jade Cargill. It was Taya Valkyrie all the way. I don't understand the obsession with Jade Cargill. You're not even giving her the proper TV time. Why capitalize on her to that extent? It makes no sense. It's not necessary. It's not needed. I don't get it. After the match, it looks as though Taya turned heel as she attacked Aubrey Edwards. But nonetheless, I can only assume that... I don't know. I can only assume that Taya Valkyrie's not done in AEW yet, but I can also assume that she's, for now, done with the TBS Women's Championship, as it seems as though she's turning heel. And to be quite honest with you, I don't know who's going to fight Jade Cargill at this point. My only hope is that Chris Statlander returns eventually and fights Jade Cargill for the TBS Women's title, because in my opinion, if anybody deserves the TBS Women's Championship, it is Chris Statlander. She's the only other woman that I feel as though is completely on par with Jade Cargill. I feel as though they match up in weight class, in height, in size, and all of it. And I just see... I see future champion in Chris Statlander, 110%. Now, we also saw Dr. Britt Baker and Jamie Hayter backstage cutting a promo on the Outcasts. Obviously, this whole rivalry between the Outcasts and Hayter and Baker, this has all been boiling down over the past few months at this point. And you know this is going to... This match, this rivalry is going to come to a big explosion at some point, especially after what they did to Britt Baker last week. Now, we did see Bryan Danielson on commentary for our main event when we saw Kenny Omega and Konosuke Takeshita take on the Butcher and the Blade. And now, obviously, my predictions were correct. We saw Konosuke Takeshita and Butcher and the Blade. Konosuke Takeshita and Kenny Omega with the pin. Now, we saw Bryan Danielson cut a promo, or start to cut a promo, when the rest of the Blackpool Combat Club ambushed Omega and Takeshita. And then, well, we saw the Young Bucks get involved, and the Young Bucks were starting to serve super kicks left and right, and we saw John Moxley pushing Takeshita and Omega, and then he hit Omega, the paradigm shift off Omega, and then they all swarmed Takeshita, and at the end of the day, it looks to me as though the Blackpool Combat Club is just unstoppable, I guess you could say. And to be quite honest with you, I hate the Blackpool Combat Club right now. I hate the fact that John Moxley's in this group. I hate the fact that Bryan Danielson is in the group. I hate the fact that they ruined Claudio Castagnoli with this group. And I hate the fact that Wheeler Yuta being heel, it's almost a bit of a good thing, But that's Wheeler Yuta could be doing so much more. He should be doing so much more, and I don't like it. I don't like what they're doing with him. I think the most I'm upset with is what they're doing with Jon Moxley. Absolutely ridiculous. Ugh, absolutely ridiculous, ladies and gentlemen. But moving on from AEW for a minute, as I pretty much covered everything, and so far it doesn't look like it was too bad of a night. Again, the Roderick Strong return is the big highlight for me. That's something I'm very excited for. But into our match card for tonight's Impact Wrestling, it does seem, well, it does seem as though it's been confirmed that at Under Siege on May 26th, we will see the Impact World Championship defended by Steve Maclin, the newly crowned champion, Steve Maclin, defending his newly won title against PCO. Now, this is an interesting match, and this is an interesting dynamic, as Steve Maclin is saying that he will only defend against Canadians. He will only defend the title against Canadian wrestlers. Now, when Josh Alexander returns, I don't know if Steve Maclin's still going to be champion or not, but if he is, then Josh has can easily get a match. I like this idea because I could picture Scott D'Amore pulling out a lot of the old Canadian crew, a lot of the old. I would love to see Robert Roode come back. I'd love to see Bobby Roode make a return. I know he probably won't. I know he probably never will, for obvious reasons, as he's still signed in WWE. But Bobby, I think everyone can agree Bobby Roode in TNA was one of the best things ever. And I also liked the fact that Scott D'Amore picked out on something. He called out on the fact that Steve Maclin is choosing to only fight Canadian wrestlers so he can avoid Nick Aldis. And I love that idea in the sense that I love that Nick Aldis is finally back in TNA. He obviously made a return a few months back with him and his wife, Mickie James, when they did a mixed gender tag against Chelsea Green and Matt Cardona. However, that's all it was. It was a match. And now he's officially back. He's officially re-signed. He's officially back in the company. And I like that they're calling him Nick Aldis and not Magnus. I do think Magnus will always be he'll always be Magnus to me due to his Impact Mafia Day or whatever it was called, the Main Event Mafia. That's what it was called. But due to his Main Event Mafia days and when he beat AJ Styles for the TNA World Heavyweight Championship, but nonetheless, I am very, very pleased and very, very happy that Nick Aldis is back in Impact Wrestling. And I'm very happy with the fact that a guy who held the NWA World Heavyweight Championship for over 1,000 days and is by far one of the best champions and one of the best wrestlers in the world right now in Impact Wrestling. And maybe he will be given a shot. You know, the fact that he was called out by Scott D'Amore and pretty much hinted at the fact that he might get a shot at the Impact World Championship coming down the line someday is amazing to me. Now, in terms of match card, I'm not really seeing much of a match card here. However, what I can tell you is going into this again, you got this match between Steve Maclin and PCO coming up. You've obviously, of course, have Mike Bailey and a bunch of amazing wrestlers and talent. You have Trey Miguel, who's still the X Division champion, and I don't know who's left for Trey Miguel. I don't know who else could possibly be next for Trey Miguel at this point. And I also have to mention, honestly, what has become one of my favorite tag teams in Impact Wrestling outside of the Motor City Machine Guns is the Bullet Club, is Ace and Bay. They have done incredible as the as the Impact World Tag Team Champions. I was honestly very surprised at how well they did. I was very surprised and very pleased at the instant classic of a match that they pulled off against the Motor City Machine Guns. It was a very great match. I was very, very pleased with it. I hope no one takes anything away from them because no one can. That was an instant classic. And moving on to the women's division for a minute, we also saw Deonna Purrazzo. She is now I want to say 3-time Knockouts Women's Champion, which I think's the way to go. Deonna Purrazzo is an incredible women's champion, incredible Knockouts champion. She is honestly one of the, in my opinion, she is one of the pillars of the Impact Women's division right now. She has run everything. She has dominated that entire division. No one can take anything away from her. The Knockouts division is 100% run by Deonna Purrazzo. Even when she wasn't Knockouts champion, you could feel it in the air that she was the head honcho. She was the one that was champion deep in her heart. Everyone knew. And when it sucks that both champions had injury and had to relinquish the titles, especially the fact that both of these wrestlers, Josh Alexander and Mickie James, had such emotional and heart-wrenching stories going into these title matches. As Mickie James, her story was so emotional because it was her entire career on the line for this title. And Josh Alexander's so emotional because all he wanted his whole career was this title. And, he suffered from neck injuries and career-ending injuries, and he still pushed through. And he still fought through all of it. And he still has, someone who, after the heel turn from Eddie Edwards, Josh Alexander, it's safe to say he's the heart and soul of Impact Wrestling at this point. He is 100% without a doubt, truly the walking weapon of the Impact Wrestling. And the fact that he unfortunately had to relinquish his title is heart-wrenching. It's heartbreaking, and my heart goes out to both him and Mickie James. But ladies and gentlemen, nonetheless, that's going to conclude tonight's episode. Again, I apologize if it was a little different. I'm really not caught up in AEW at all, so I had to read off of a script, if you will, to kind of go over the notes and go over what exactly happened. So again, I apologize, but I appreciate you all tuning in, as always, and I really appreciate the support that I've gotten over the past couple of days since my return. And I also just want to say real quick, in terms of tomorrow's episode, I will make an update for sure, to let you guys know for sure or not, but I do not know if there's going to be an episode up tomorrow, as I'll probably be celebrating my birthday tomorrow, so I don't know if or when that video will come up. So if it's not up by midnight, I shouldn't even say that, I will make a community post saying if it won't be up at all, but if it will be up, it'll 100% be up before midnight tomorrow night. So make sure to stay tuned for that. And ladies and gentlemen, I'll catch you on the next one. As always, thank you for tuning in, and peace out.